open the editor. Every so often, not all the time. So sometimes I have to clean the solution and then build again, and then usually it works after that. But I had it open earlier. I was putting in some assets. I didn't actually import them. I have to import the armor assets we're going to use today, but I wanted to get them in the right spot. So we'll see if this actually works. If not, we'll probably be able to figure it out relatively quickly, or at least the workaround. But, you know. Failed. Why are you failing, huh? Did I change something? Oh, it's saying I don't have any storage. You know, 1 second, guys. My apologies. I know what happened here. I made 2 duplicates and I forgot to get rid of the one. So I'll get rid of my zip file here that I don't need. I back up everything online and then that's what I use for my storage, and I accidentally kept a few duplicates. Okay, we should be good now. Sorry about that. That might have been the issue the whole time. Okay, so anyway, let's see if it works now. So let me see if the audio is good. Everything seems good. I think I got it. I think I got it down to a science, guys. So there we go. All right, sorry about that. Had I known, I would have saved it for right before, but yeah, sorry. That does suck, actually. I definitely have had that happen before, and it's happened at work before. Like, oh yeah, we have to do this update, right? Because we need this specific thing to be the most up-to-date that it can be for the, you know, the customer or whatever. And then it ends up taking pretty much your whole day of work, and it's just like, that's the, you know, it sounds fun. It's like, oh, you know, that's good. I am working on it. I have full intentions to have that completed and allow us to use it in the fighting game series. So there's a lot I have to do in the background because I am familiar with networking. I've done plenty of networking for work and also other projects, but I've never done rollback netcode. So I was learning a lot about it, and of course, since I structured the series to be for beginners to advanced, you know, everyone should be able to use the series and the tutorials. So I didn't start with multiplayer. Normally you would start, if you have networking intentions, you would start with making the game network compatible very early on. Well, we did not do that, and it's because if you want a beginner tutorial, you're not going to be able to get right into networking right away. So I have been going through and updating files on a separate version of the fighting game. That way I keep them separate while I'm doing the tutorials, so there's not all this extra stuff that's in there that is a little bit confusing for people who aren't familiar with it. You know, you haven't seen it before, and they might think, oh, I need to put that in, but I don't want them to put that in yet because it'll break things. So yeah, that's usually why I stay completely clear of it, because this happened. So sometimes I add stuff. I added stuff. I'm working on AI for the fighting game too, and I have a basic draft down for what I want, but I had some stuff in one of the episodes and people were trying to pull from it, and I'm like, man, it was my fault, because I should have made sure that it was clear. But so now I kind of try and stay clear of anything that's not related to what we're working on, that way I don't confuse people. I try to learn from that, but yeah, anyway, that's why I was talking about it. So yes, I'm working on it, absolutely. I'm very excited about it. It's actually going surprisingly well. I do have some help from some people in the Discord community who are also a little bit more familiar with that sort of networking, which is good, because I'm not too familiar with rollback netcode. Even now, like, I'm understanding how it works internally, and, you know, I'm learning a lot more about it, and I think it's coming out really well. But there's still a lot about it that I have to learn for as far as how the gameplay needs to work with it, because there's different ways you have to set it up for different scenarios. Anyway, I will post more on that, don't worry. You'll hear more about that probably pretty soon too. But let's get started with today. So today is going to be, you know, it's kind of another freeform episode. Like, I want to finish up the shops, but the shop is doing pretty darn well. I was actually very satisfied with what we could get after the first episode. And I want to also be able to equip armor. I was going to do weapons and armor, but really, if you can equip armor, you can equip weapons. I mean, it's the exact same process, just attaching to a different point. There are some, of course, differences with maybe you want to do a different animation if you have a certain weapon. So there's differences, and we can cover that, but there's no reason to cover it both right now. Really, I'd be covering the same topic twice just for two different objects. So we're just going to go equipping like items and armor to our character and finishing up the shops. Sorry, it's really hot in here today. Because my door was shut, so if you see me breathing heavy, I'm not like out of breath from talking. Well, I am, that's part of it, but I'm also very warm in here because of my fan wasn't on in here, door was shut, I was out all day, and so this room, you know, it is so warm in here all the time. You guys probably heard me talk about that, and it's just been pent up in here, and I came in like 15 minutes before and it's still not cooled down, so apologies for like the heavy breathing. I promise I'm not like super out of breath from talking. It's very warm in here. I do actually need to grab my water. I didn't realize that wasn't filled up. That way I can have something to drink and cool off a bit. Okay, sorry about that. My mustache is also probably crazy, because I'm gonna be shaving it a bit and cleaning myself up a bit. You know, I let it grow and it was good, but I need to clean it up. All right, sorry guys. For those of you that are here for the programming, I'm sorry that, you know, you had to sit through all that. But anyway, we're gonna get into it. So, I'm very relieved to hear about all that. Seeing the community reaction to games without rollback, basically calling them dead on arrival, really demotivated me, since rollback seemed way over my head. Yeah, so I'm a big fighting game fan. I've even done some competitions at expos and stuff, but I was never, you know, I didn't really care about it that much, to be honest. I never really went to that technical side of things where like the networking made such a difference to me. But then as people started talking about it, I realized how important it was to the community, and I figured, you know, we have to do that. It's something we need to do. So it is probably the longest thing that I will work on to get it to be completed throughout the entire series, so it is going to take me still quite a bit longer. I've been working on it for probably about a month or two now. I'm expecting a lot longer for me to actually get tutorials out and, you know, make it in a way that everyone can understand it, hopefully, but it is coming, I promise, and I will let you guys know as I continue how it's going. Like, I won't keep you in the dark about that. The only reason I'm not going into more depth now is just because there's still a lot I have to learn about it too. The initial stuff I've been doing is going well, though. I've actually had some successful networking tests with it. I said once you finish the rollback, either sell it on Unreal Market or PDF, since it's a lot of work that way. Thank you so much, Everglade. So first of all, that is a great tip, and I really appreciate that. So I will probably be, I'm going to be selling the entire template on the marketplace, but I want it to be like people buy it because they don't want to go through the process of making the game. I'm not going to restrict anybody or anyone from making the template on their own. All the knowledge will be on the tutorials. I just want to make that clear. I don't want to separate that. Buying it is simply a last resort for not, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, just not wanting to or not having the time to do it. They can buy it. Otherwise, the goal is to help people learn it, because I think it's a lot easier to then change it if you know what's going on. So yes, Unrollback networking. Yes, rollback networking will probably be a plugin that I actually, well, not a plugin, but it'll probably be, actually, yeah, like it'll be an extension or an add-on on the marketplace. I think I'll put it up. Oh, sorry for being late. That's okay. Thanks for coming by, Eunice. It's great to see you. I think that one specific topic has a lot of potential to grow your channel. So many people want to learn it. Yeah, people do definitely want to learn it, but it's tough. I think people want to learn it because of how useful it is, but it's not easy. So it is going to take... I do have it mapped out because I have a good understanding of how it works now. So I have it mapped out to where it's probably going to take me about 9 episodes to do the conversion. I'm not talking short episodes either, but I do have it mapped out for how I want to teach it. So as long as I can get everything working, then I will make those episodes. And so far I have 0 doubts about getting it all working. I mean, I was pretty new to it. I was a little nervous it was going to be hard. I mean, it's hard, but I was a little nervous it was going to give me quite a bit of trouble. I'm following good tutorials online that show you kind of how it works, not like on the code, but how it needs to work and how like GGPO has it set up. I've been following that along with, again, someone else in the Discord community. Their name is Aaron. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Who has been helping me. They are a lot more of a network. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they're a lot more experienced in that sort of networking than I am. So I've been taking advice from them and also using the actual like documentation, that sort of networking, and mixing it together. And so far, like I said, everything is actually working. I actually can have networks, 2 connections working together with the rollback netcode setup. So just getting all the other systems working with that system. Nina says, that's great. Sean, have you made a lot of games? And yes, and if yes, how much? So I've only made 2 games. I actually work in simulation. So the 2 games I made were in college. I work for, well, I can't really say too much, but I work for a company that makes simulators for the government, for the Department of Defense. That's what I can say. So I haven't really made a lot of games, but I'm making these games now, and it's more, you know, it is different. So there's still a lot that I have to learn, but I did do networking there, so it has helped me a lot with the networking I'm doing now. Anyway, guys. Sorry for the delay. I love talking. We can continue the conversation. I'm just gonna get started so that we don't run out of time though. But you can keep asking me questions. I'm not like pushing that to the side. We can keep talking about it. But I am just gonna get started so we make sure we have enough time. So in episode 1 of Shops, we basically made this shopkeeper here that we can spawn into the scene, and we have these items that you can pick up, right? And we can press the use key to interact. I forget what it was. My apologies. Okay, Z. Right? It didn't play the actor sequence, though. Okay, it was the wrong button. That's why I was saying equip item for the item on the ground. Okay, sorry about that. So, anyway. Now we have our shop here. You know, we're in the shop. I should make it input mode UI so I can actually control this. But, anyway. We're in the shop. I can click these, and they actually get added to my inventory. Oh, that's right. I can't leave because we were running out of time, so I have no way to leave right now. What is my inventory button? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I am a fool. It has been 2 weeks, so of course all my knowledge went out the window. So anyway, we need our currency first. So you can see I have 5 coins in the top right-hand corner there. Now if I use the shop, I should be able to buy these items. This is how much they cost, 1 and 3. Then I can open up my inventory. There we go. And then I have shop item 1, shop item 2, just because that's what I named them. That's the name of the item. It's a very, very quick shot we did because I just put everything on top of each other. So what we're going to do today to finish this up is we are going to be able to exit the shop, first of all. I'm going to be able to make sure that you don't replay the actor sequence every time you do this, because that's just trashy. We don't want that. And I'm going to make sure that once we buy the item, it is going to either, we're either going to reduce the quantity of the items in the shop, or we'll get rid of it. That way we can see what's going on. We can always spice it up later and make it look nice, but functionality-wise, those are the things that we're missing. And then once we can exit the shop, I'll do it again, and I'll show you the inventory after I've left the shop, so it's not like 4 menus on top of each other. We just ran out of time last time. Eunice says, that's cool, thank you so much. I was laughing at Everglades' comment. Can't leave until you buy something. That's right. You're trapped in there. You have to buy something. You don't have enough currency? That's too bad. That's a shame. But it's, the cycle needs to be completed. So let's fix up the shop. We'll fix up those things. And then the items I'm going to put in the shop, I'm going to put 2 armor pieces, a helmet and a chest plate. And then I'm going to be able to buy them, which they get added to the inventory already, as you saw. And I'm going to be able to equip them to our character just by pressing them. So there's still plenty we could do. We could draw this series out for many, 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 many episodes. But for now, what I wanted to do was, what we set out to work on right now for the shops is buy things, be able to use the things that we bought. So we're going to do those 2 things. Anything else with armor or anything else with like inventory we'll do another time. But we're going to finish those both up today. Okay? Yeah, Eunice liked that. That was pretty good. New age capitalism. I mean, it's true. You have to buy it. Otherwise, you just get stuck. You get soft locked in the game. It's a game mechanic. All right, I have to remember, and I deeply apologize for this one, but I have to remember what our widgets are. I think this is the right one. The shop interface widget. This should be the vertical box. This should be the individual item. Okay. So I want to, when this pops up, I actually want to change the input mode. Just a nice little thing. We can set it to game in UI because I do actually want the stuff, like I actually like the character still moving in the background. If you make it UI only, you do lose some of the functionality, which is intended, but if we want to still be able to see the game and see the shop on top of it, usually you want to do game in UI. For right now, we can get player controller 0. This is technically not great practice for multiplayer. You'd want to already have the player controller, but we're already here. We don't have the player controller, so we're just going to keep up with this. I don't need to focus the vertical box. I think I can just focus self, and I should be able to get what I want. We can test it, though. We don't want to lock the mouse, and we don't want to hide the cursor during capture in this case. I am going to be using the mouse for interacting with the shop here. We can obviously use the button. So I still had control of the mouse. It was not locked, but hide cursor during capture. Wait, is it? I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to make this. Can we settings? I forget. Dang it, I forget where it's at. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I was gonna make it visible so we could see the mouse, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Let's see if we can control. So if I were to click on this. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'll probably spice that up before the end of the episode, but I don't want to waste too much time on that. But input mode game in UI, that way we at least do have the mouse in the background, and we don't have to, even though it's invisible, it's still there. If you don't do it this way and you keep it as game only, then you actually will have to press Shift F1 or some other way of getting your mouse. course, is set the view target back to the regular camera, but we did actually close the widget, and now we have our HUD back up. So let's go ahead and return. I need to open up my character blueprint. So here's the use shop. We're going to need to call the leave shop. We removed from parent, but we should actually call the leave shop first and then do that. So I'll make a new event, leave shop. Did I make the event in the character? It's fine if I did. I just will want to put leave shop the same way. Use that. I did actually. Okay. All right. Let's do that real quick. Let's just keep it in. If I kept one in code, if I put one in code, let's put the other in code. So I have use shop. Let's make another implementable event, and we'll just call it leave shop. I'll call it exit shop, I guess. I don't believe we will need the actual shop. Whoops. Because it shouldn't really matter. Basically, if we're in any sort of shop and we exit, we just want to get out of that state and back to the regular playing state. So it shouldn't really be important. Yes, I called use shop on the overlap shop. Okay, that made sense. Because I remember we were separating it to show the difference, and then we did the use shop and the use item to... Okay, cool. So... yeah, we could actually have a state like in shop, and then if we press like the same button to interact with it, we exit. That's probably a good idea, but we'll leave it for now just so we can keep going. Basically, we're going to just the only way to be able to exit the shop is by clicking the exit button. You can always add more later. Just gonna do it that way for now. So now we added this event. Okay. Cool. Should load any second, and now we should have access to that event without making a new one. See, I realized it was weird because it had the name event in it, which if you make an event, you can give it the name if you make it in the blueprint. And I would not normally call it event. And there were spaces, so I was like, so in the widget, when we press that button, we need to invoke this event. And do we have like an owner of the shop? We don't have a reference to the object using the shop. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and create a hack here. We should actually have this, I think. Oh, no, the shop has a character reference. The widget doesn't, though. The widget doesn't care about that. The widget kind of should know. Yeah, the widget should know. If we're going to do it the right way, we should do it the right way. So the widget should know. So what we can do is when we create the widget... well, wait, hold on. The widget should be spawned when we interact with it, and we should set its owner, right? Use shop, create. Oh, that's pretty ugly how I did that. I think that's how it works. Sorry, I'm just actually a little bit behind. I had to remember how I set it up. So if this works the way I think it works. Press key to interact. Okay, that's the press key to interact widget. We play the actor sequence. We need the shop interface widget. Interesting. Interesting. Did we do it on the character? Am I crazy? Inventory widgets. Oh, we do it right here. My bad. Alright, so anyway. Oh yeah, we give it the owning player, so this is pretty good. We can use the owning player of the widget, because even if you're in multiplayer, this will still work. The owning player of the widget will only be the owner that interacted with the shop in this case. So if we have multiple players interacting with one shop, then it's only going to go for that player. That's what we want, and I wanted to make sure that was the case. And now that we know it is, what we can do is when we go to exit the shop here, before we remove from parent, we can get owning player pawn, and this will get the character, not the controller, of the owner of this widget. Just got a voicemail from somebody. Okay, it's garbage. It's spam. Alright. Hi, John. It was fun dropping by and saying I'll be going right now. See ya. See you, Eunice. Thank you so much for coming by. It's great talking to you. Great seeing you. I'm so glad you came by. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Yeah, it's just so much fun. How could I not with how fun it is? So we're going to get the owning player pawn of the widget, and that's the character that we want. Now, it doesn't really matter who we are, just as long as it's a character that we know will work. And so we can either do our Twitch game character or our base blueprint character. I'm going to do the Twitch game character, because any character we have that can enter and exit shops probably should have the same functionality. So I'm going to grab that character, and I'm going to call the exit shop. That is what I called it, is it not? Oh, I didn't make a blueprint callable. Whoops, my bad. Okay, so what we're going to need to do now is close this again one more time. And save that. And we're going to make this blueprint callable. Now again, if we want to be able to press the same button or a different button like B on a controller and exit out, then we don't need to call this from the blueprint. We can call it when we go to do the interact logic. But since we're doing it from the mouse click event in this case, we will want to be able to call it right from the widget. Otherwise, it's kind of just a pain in the butt. No real reason to go out of the way to do it. It's not like it's going to hurt performance to do it that way. Just a little bit more inconvenient for us making it now, but it's a one-time thing, so it's fine. Let's go back into the widget, and now zoom in on this a bit. I should better call it exit shop. And then once we call this, I do want to remove from parent still, but I want to do that first just to make sure that logic is completed. And now I remember I can't exactly be sure if this does work without targeting the camera. It does work. We will have to possess again. We actually lost possession of our character. But there you go. We go back to our regular view. So we call exit shop. Oh, whoops. Not the generated file. I was thinking that was the event. Let's go back into our character blueprint, where our event is. So we set the view target, but we're not actually controlling this character anymore, believe it or not. So what we need to be able to do is... Hold on, what is this? This is the pouting. Okay, so we can just say cat can act to be able to true. There we go. And now we should be able to control our character again when we exit the shop. Okay, so we're good here. And then I say exit, and we can control again. So good. Now we can enter and exit the shop freely. Again, it could be cleaned up a bit with adding a button or a key that can exit and enter for us. But we're good to go. We can enter and exit freely, and we can buy stuff, and it goes in our inventory. So, all right, here, let's do from scratch. Let's go get our currency. All right. All right, so now we have this press use to interact. We press it. We go into the shop, okay? We can buy one of these items. We can exit. We can open up our inventory. I have the item in my inventory. See that? So now the shop is officially working and it's fully functional. We can buy things from it. In fact, it does not decrease, it does not take from our currency. I just realized that. So that's something I should probably do. We have a shop where it checks to see if you have the right amount, but then it never actually takes it away. I think we did that on purpose. Legitimately, I think I remember saying we'll leave it for now to make sure we can buy as much as we want. But let's go ahead and fix that now. We no longer need that since we can exit out and check our inventory. Let's go back to, I think it'll be in base shop. That's where I would normally do it. Purchase item. Okay, we make sure that we set the value of the item. Hold on, purchase item. We grab the value. We set the value. And we add it. Okay. So do I actually check when we press the button? That's where I would do it then, actually. Shop item widget. We get the item value. Yeah, here we go. We just check if it is... Okay, so we check if we have enough coins, and then if we do, we just purchase the item. But in purchase item for the shop, we never actually subtract it when we buy it. So, after we set everything, I think after we add it is fine. Is a fine spot to do it. It shouldn't really matter, just as long as we do it in the same operation. We don't want any breaks in between, that way they can't like buy it without paying, right? So we're going to grab our character reference, and we're going to get their currency, which I think is num coins. Yep. And we're going to just subtract integer minus integer, and we're going to subtract the item's value from it. Now, if you were to change the value when they bought it for whatever reason, then of course you would not just take the value of the item, you would have to assign it separately and subtract the value from what you purchased it of, but it doesn't really matter here since we're not getting into anything nearly that advanced. And then we're just going to actually set the num coins again to the difference. There we go. And now we're taking the character's coins, subtracting the value of the item, so basically how much we just paid for it, and then we're setting it to be the new coins. So if we see this in action, we should go up here. We should be able to get the currency, come down here, interact with this, and then we have 5 coins. The value is on the right, so that's 1. We subtracted 1, we get 4. If I subtract 3, I should have 1. There you go. And now I can't buy any more of these. So when I come out, I should have a few, but not as many as we pressed. There you go. So the shop is working as intended. The only thing, we don't have a quantity of items in the shop, which we could set up, and we will set up. But for right now, that's pretty much, that's a fully functional shop. If we want to have the quantity and things, we can. It's probably a good idea. We could just remove it once we purchase it enough times. Yeah, let's do it. Let's finish up. We got more than enough time, actually. We got further than I remembered in the last episode. We actually pretty much did everything for it, so that's good. It's good that we did that. I just wasn't expecting to do that so early. Okay. Well, now in this case, all I need is I need to know the quantity of each item in the shop. Now, the base shop BP, it has this list of items, but is this an item structure? The shop item structure. Yes, we made it. We have this struct in the logic. So we have shop item structure. So this is all the data for the structure of the item. But only for the shop item. It's not for the actual item that we get. We can set the stats for that differently because, again, If you modify it in any way, you don't want to change the other items in the shop based off that item. That doesn't make sense. So we can add a quantity. We have a name, a description, which we never filled out, and we add the value, and we have the image, which we could use, but we just never got around to that either. So let's add a new variable. Hey Mark, nice to see you. I can do something like that. And I can do this garbage reroute node, make it look a little nicer. And we can do set members in shop item structure. Now, I'm sorry this is getting a little bit messy. I'm going to move this over a little bit more. Just like that should be fine. Now, set members. When you're setting members of a structure, we have the struct reference, so we can set it right on the reference, as I said. The way this works is it looks like this by default, and you're like, what the heck do I do with that? So you click on this node, and then you click the details panel right here and open up this. It will show you what you want to use as a pin. Now, whatever you use as a pin will be set to the value inside. So if I were to set like name as a pin, I would either have to set the name again, either to the name that comes in, or I'd have to change it. But I can simply just not check it and the name stays as it was. So all we want to change in this case is the quantity. So now we want to change the quantity to this difference, and there we go. Now we've changed the quantity of the shop item structure. So this should be good actually, but I do need to be able to showcase this. So I know our actual widget, of course, is not as nice as it could be either. Right now we just have name value, but what I can do is just put another one and make it quantity until we get better graphics or things like that. So we have name, value, quantity, and I should have this bound to something right here. I think it's this right here, right? Yeah. So we're just going to append to this node, and it's going to be a little ugly, not going to lie to you, but it's going to look like this. The greater than or equal to, I think it makes more sense logically, but I don't want it to be 0. Oh. This is the shop item structure. We just want to call at the item at this index and say, and call set item data on the widget. So the only thing is, we do have the data, so we can just call set item data and pass in the information. This is the individual widget, so the only thing is, would we have the index? Oh, we have the index right here in purchase item. See, we're smart, guys. Cool. So we'll use the index, we'll call it on the widget reference, which we already have, and we'll be good to go. So once we do this, this can also be done at the end if we want. It doesn't really matter now. So now what I can do is just do one big reroute all the way to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna do reroute. Hey, what's up, Unreal YouTuber? Nice to see you. Thank you. I will keep up the good work. Well, at least I hope that I do. I'll do my best to do that. So now we have the index of the widget that we need, and we already have the items. Oh wait, we don't even need the items. We can take the data from the items, but we don't need that yet. What we need is, we need the widget reference. And this should be the shop interface, right? Oh no, this is the wrong widget reference. So I won't be able to use that widget. I'll have to get a new reference. But that's fine. We can do that, no problem. But let me rename this then, so I know this is the. Whoops. This is the. Press any key widget. I'll be very, very specific. That way we know. And it's probably gonna make this really ugly. Like wherever I was using that, yeah, it's gonna be. Alright, cool. Do we not have begin play on the shop? Oh no, we would have to wait until it's created though. So I almost wonder if it would actually be better to just not have a reference to it and just get it every time. Because we would have to assume that it was up. We would only know that it was up. If we're purchasing the item, we know that it's up. But would we know that before? We would know when we enter the shop. I think it's actually created after we just enter it, though. So it might be better to just not have a reference to it, because we only ever need it in one time. It's created after. Alright, so we're not going to have a reference to the shop. Or to the widget, excuse me. So I like to use a reference for things because, you know, you can use the reference and then use it elsewhere. Use it as much as you want. And you don't have to keep retrieving the data. The problem is we spawn the widget only when we're going in here to purchase the item. So we could either grab it from the character reference, which we might actually do that, or we can find it every time. Do we have that in the character reference though? I don't know if we do. We have the HUD reference and that's it. So really we should just create, well, we could set it here. Not here, here. We could set it there. Logically, I don't know if it's going to be really big difference in performance either way, so I'll probably just get it. I think I'm just going to get it. Because if you get all... Problem is, if we got to take multiplayer into account. And if we do this, if we just get it, it's going to get from both. And we only want it for the one the character is on. So alright, we'll do it in the character. Alright, I'll show you what we're going to do. I'll explain it. Hey, Sean. Hey, what's up? How about side-scrollers in UE5? So, yeah, side-scrollers in UE5 is kind of a weird situation right now. They actually removed the side-scroller and the side-scroller 2D templates from Unreal Engine 5. It's a little bit weird. You can copy your project or convert your Unreal Engine 4 project to Unreal Engine 5, so we can absolutely work on this in Unreal 5. But surprisingly, they did remove the specific template for it, so that is a little bit strange. So I don't entirely know what to do about that. Okay, so regardless, it's largely the same, though. They haven't really added anything that helps or hurts side scrollers specifically, so it doesn't change too much if you're in Unreal 4 or Unreal 5. Alright guys, so let me explain what's going on here. I'm going to add the shop interface widget. This is the shop interface widget. It has this vertical box. I'm going to add the widget as a reference of the character. The reason I'm doing that, I can then access the specific widget that is up for the specific character that's in the specific shop. And I'm being a little crazy by saying all that, but I'm just trying to make it clear. So if, say we're in multiplayer, and say they can do their own thing. They don't have to both be in the shop at the same time. For whatever reason, you can be in different shops. I'm just trying to think ahead. If we wanted to do that for any reason, we do want it to know the specific character that's in that shop. So we can't just get all widgets of that class, otherwise we could get them both, and then we could get the wrong data. We could get the widget and then get the owning player, but really that's the same process as this, so it's kind of just up to how we want to do it. I think if we just keep a widget reference on the character for the shop interface widget, then we know if it's up or not, and we know what data it has. Then, when we do that, we will know what data to pull from. Now, the shop itself, we are setting the data, but we are going to be resetting the data every time we enter the shop. Actually, I don't know if we will be. We might have to save it out and load it as well for consistency. But anyway, let's just get started. It should hopefully make more sense. Let me just make sure I set owner. We do set the owning player in this, yes. Just want to make sure. So here's what we can do. I'll see if this is easier, because this might actually be better. Character reference. We could get the character reference. Oh, let's do this. Okay, I figured it out. Sorry. I figured out what I think is the smoothest operation. So, we're going to continue. This is our purchase item. We have our index coming along here. This is the index of the item in the shop, so we know what item the character is pulling from when they select it, when they purchase it, whatever. Okay? That's that. What we're going to do here, I think I got it now. We are going to do get all widgets of class. Okay? This is going to return all of them, but we're going to just filter out the widget class, so it's not a big deal. We're going to get the shop interface widget. Okay? Now, we can loop through these, just in case there are more. Just in case there are more than one. There is more than one. So if there's more than one, because there's multiple players, we need to be able to loop through it. We don't want to just get the zero index. Otherwise, it's just going to do one loop, so it's not going to hurt your performance. If there's only ever one, you're only doing it one time, which is the same as not doing a loop at all. So we're going to do this, and we're going to get owning player pawn. Okay, and we're going to compare the playing pawn. We're going to compare the owning player pawn of this widget to the character reference. We're going to check if these are equal or not. I don't think we can do it without casting, even if they're objects. I can't remember if this cast will succeed or not, because I don't know if it has to be the same type. I know it doesn't have to be the same type because they'll both be objects, but I wonder if it'll find it. I'm going to test this real quick before we go down this path. This will work, but we might have to cast, and I want to avoid a bug down the line. So let's do this, and let's print a string if it says that we are the owner. So when was this? This is when I'm purchasing an item, so I do need coins to test this. Hold on. Let's drag off this. Alright, let's see. So if I purchase this item... Hello. Okay, it prints. Alright, it finds it without the cast, so excellent. We can get rid of the cast. Okay, so this is checking to make sure that the shop we're checking from is the one that the character is in, that we want, that we care about. That's good. That's what we want to know. So that helps solve any multiplayer issues down the line with that. Alright. Unreal YouTuber says, which one of your C++ series should I start with? I'm actually a complete novice in C++. I can do Python programs, did Unity C# for a few years ago. What do you recommend, and thoughts on C++ for beginners? Okay, so C++. C++ is not very difficult in terms of logic once you kind of understand how it works. The hardest part about C++ is that it is, if you're not familiar with inheritance and even object-oriented programming, C++ is a little bit different, right? It's weird because you see it and you're like, it's not really how I normally would think of this. Why don't I do this way? Why don't I do it that way? C++ is really good for having like parent-child relationships, and trust me, it's a lot. It's good for a lot of other things, but that's one of the main things that people always say when they start learning C++, and it's one of the main things I was learning when I was going through school, is like, this is why we do it this way in C++. So if you want to truly learn C++ and see the power of it and see how it works in Unreal, the fighting game tutorial series would be probably your best bet. I do make other characters within that series, and because of that, I do use inheritance, which is something that is going to be super useful in C++. So the other series I haven't done too much with. You could also do the platforming fighter series, the Super Smash Bros. Series. That is, I also use inheritance in that. So that would be one of the main things I would look at when you're trying to learn C++. It's one of the big benefits. Again, there's plenty, but that's one of the really large benefits that people will usually talk about, and those questions always come up on interviews and stuff. So if you're ever interested in learning things that are like, you know, what others consider important topics, that would be a good one. And you said general thoughts for C++ for beginners. C++ is fine. Like, I love it. I love working in it. I wouldn't be too concerned if you're a beginner or an expert. It will bite you regardless. There's just going to be there's going to be things that you have to learn, just like any language, and it might not make sense at first, right? You're going to be confused, like, why would this not work if it works this way? Shouldn't these be the same thing? And I feel like C++ is especially bad for that. C# is pretty good at giving you correct, like, clear, this will work, this won't. C++ I don't feel is as good with that. You kind of learn it over time, and it's not a big deal, but I would say just kind of keep working with it. I mean, honestly, it's not anything special. It's not any special advice, but it's true. You just kind of have to keep working on it and learning how it works, and it'll make a lot more sense over time. So we have the correct widget now. And now that we have the correct widget, we know it is of the shop interface widget object. We can grab the vertical box. We are going a little bit out of our way here to do this. So if we weren't worrying about multiplayer, this wouldn't really be necessary, but I am trying to think of it ahead of time. Now that we're doing the live stream and you can see my thoughts and my reasoning, I think it's the right time to start with multiplayer a little bit early. Not necessarily like, oh, networked multiplayer, but just some stuff so we can avoid changing a lot of stuff down the line, okay? We're going to grab our item vertical box of that widget. We're going to do get all children of the widget, because the children are the shop item widget, which are the buttons. The buttons are what we call set item data on, so we need to get them every time we want to make a change to them, like when we want to change the quantity. Okay. And then what we want to do here is we want to get the child at my concern is this is getting a copy because we did get all children. I may need to actually get the specific reference. I don't know if I call the function on it though, if it might actually work because it is a child. It's gonna be a little tricky here. We'll find it out. So this is the index of copy and it wants it as a reference, which I think it is going to do that. The only reason I think it might work is because it is a child of the vertical box, and we do know where that comes from. It actually does work because of that. That is excellent news. You can see the quantity going down. So look, I have one more. I don't have enough coins. All right, let's not buy the second item this time. Hey, what's up, Blackbird? Hope you all are well. I'm doing really well. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. So now we have 5 coins. There's 3 of this item in the shop. I can buy 3. I'm out. So it's gone. Now we could actually remove it once it hits 0, or you can just leave it at 0. I kind of like it actually being left there and just having 0 quantity. I like that because it shows that it was in the shop and you purchased it, or for whatever reason it's no longer available. So cool. I like it. Okay. That's everything I want to do for shops. I know you want to level lock, so we will level lock. We can do that, no problem. So, do you want it to be... Let me see how you explained it. Okay, so it won't be selectable, you said. Is it okay if we still see it in the shop, and there's just a level requirement and we can't access it? Or do you want it to only populate the items in the shop that you can purchase? Just so I can be clear and get it working how you're asking me. I finally found someone to make my 3D model, so life is good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I can appreciate that. That sounds pretty fun. I like that. Alright, in the meantime, Everglades, take your time, I'm not rushing you. But in the meantime, while you're typing that out, let's go over attaching some armor. Now, admittedly, this is going to be a very, very generic attaching armor tutorial. So it's not going to quite work the way you want. If you want like actual armor pieces that are equipping and things like that, usually there's some help with either a skeleton, or you can even do some things with the clothing, even if it's like a chainmail thing, or if it's like an iron chest plate and doesn't really move. You can still do things with the clothing parameters that actually make it so it kind of fits in the body better. I am not an expert in that. In fact, I barely know how to do it at all. But I'm sure there's tutorials online. It's a pretty common thing that people have to do to make the outfits fit correctly, if it's going to be more dynamic and not just like, oh, this character has 5 outfits. So that's not something we're going to be covering, at least not today, because I don't really know how to do that. At least not very well. But it is possible, and that's how you would solve any weirdness with attaching armor. But believe it or not, the way you can get things to work pretty well is... We'll go over it. Let's go over it right now. Okay, let's go over attaching armor. So I have some very nice armor that Everglades has provided for me. Thank you so much. I think you said you actually provided weapons, too. I actually didn't even get a chance to look. Sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. Let me see. I think these are boots, which I am actually going to use these too. So we got leggings, or we got like boots, whatever we want to call them. We have body piece. What's this? Oh, that's cool. That's like for your shoulders, right? I like that a lot, actually. We could actually make a really sweet armor set. It probably won't be this time because I'd have to set up the spots for all these. You're going to see what I'm talking about in a second. I like these. Thank you so much for making these and sending these over. I really, really love these. And these are so helpful. Okay. So guys, let's do it. So I'll keep all this up. This is fine. This is fine. That's the shop. We could do the level requirement here. Either way, we're going to need a level requirement here. So as far as the level requirement for the shop items go, whether we make them invisible or just lock them is fine, but let's do level rec. Okay, integer. Put it right up here. I do like to actually keep things in alphabetical order when possible, of the same type. So since, like... But sometimes it just doesn't really make sense because, like, I don't want the description to be first, so I guess it doesn't matter. It's fine. We can leave it like that. It makes no difference. We just need to make sure... I might have changed this and made it... It's not ugly, though. Okay, good. It's a little ugly. Okay, it's fine. It's fine how it is. We'll just leave it like that for now. All right, cool. So we have this ready to go. Let's go into our character's inventory now. So I don't need to close the shop stuff yet, but I may need to just because of how many tabs we have. Widget, inventory widget. Alrighty. So here's our widget, and then we need our inventory item widget, which is what goes in the vertical box. And alright, so as far as equipping things goes, what we really need to know when we're caring about equipping, if we don't want to equip to a specific slot, like for example, let's keep it simple in this. The Action RPG tutorial series is kind of covering all this right now, so if you want a more advanced, like you can equip different leggings for each leg, or different shoulder for each shoulder, you know, or even attach like rings, like in Dark Souls or something. That is separate. That'll be in the Action RPG tutorial series. Let's just use an item, and if it's an item like an armor piece, then it just automatically attaches to the right spot. So we'll have to know what type it is to do that, but it will make our job significantly easier because we don't have to allow the player to control it. We just can make either a structure or an enum. Actually, an enum would be way better. And we can just kind of tag these objects and know what to do with them when we use them. So let's do that. Now we do have a base item, so I have to actually remember what these are. Which one is which? So I don't think I made... I definitely didn't make like the armor pieces. Do I have like anything that I started? No. But we do have a base inventory item, and that's good. But the problem is the inventory, this is specifically for the inventory, as it should be. Oh, this is a reference to it. That's why we see them spawn. Like you see them spawn behind the shop. You know, it shouldn't really do that. We should just spawn it and add it to the inventory. We don't really need to spawn the item itself. Like, I'll show you. See how it popped up back there? I mean, that's fine. It's kind of funny how it is, but really it's not, you know, you don't want to spawn it in the world, really. You just kind of want to keep a reference to it. But I won't go over all that now, because we'd have to change everything to UObjects to do that. We can cover that, but that's really just not what we're meant to do today. So we'll focus on that another time. It's important, but it's completely separate. We can keep everything we're doing today and just do that later, and it won't affect this at all. So we'll just keep going like this. Anyway, I have a ton of tabs open, but this base inventory item is what gets spawned. So it should get spawned probably when we purchase the item. You see, it just spawns this actor. And I mean, I get it. It spawns the actor, it's setting the data. But really, it should be spawning like a UObject. I think I said this last time. It should be creating an object and setting the data in that. And then we spawn the object when we go to use it. So, you know, it's a little weird. I don't really like doing this. But as far as changing this goes to a UObject, guess what? You don't do spawn actor. You just do, I think it might be spawn object, or it might be like create object. Construct object from class. So instead, I'll even leave a comment here just so everyone's aware. This is the type, and this is the class. Alright. So I will say, I'm sorry, that is not where you put a comment. Alright, add comment. We're going to say spawn UObjects instead of actual actors to save space. So yeah, this is pretty much just to save space. I mean, it is the right way to do it this way. For right now, what we're doing is fine. It really will not change what we have to do down the line. We just will change these two nodes to be this node instead, and everything will still work the same. And you'll see how that works later on. But I'm just going to leave this here. That way we do have this comment, and everyone is aware that I am aware of it. But for now, we'll keep it like this, because that's not the point of the episode. Alright, oh, do I have to actually fill it out, even though it's not connected? We can give it some garbage data for now. It's not connected anyway. Yeah, connect. I was going to say, it's going to let me construct an actor, even though it's constructing an object. Weird. Do I I'm going to leave it above it instead of putting it in because I'm going to remove it anyway. But just know what this comment is for. That way I'm aware of that, and I'm aware that we will be changing that in the future. But this is where the change will occur. We're ignoring that for now. We're going to leave it as is. Now we're just going to focus on attaching the armor. So there are a few ways we can attach armor. So we can just attach it to our character, and it will actually look okay. I mean, quite simply, we could just have basically a bone in here in our character and say, yep, that's where we want to attach to. And once we attach to that, it will kind of just go there. And it'll look pretty good, I mean, to be honest. But we can actually go into the skeleton and attach it to our model and then modify it so that we can kind of see the way it moves with the character. So I'm going to close these because I'm going to be opening a lot more stuff. We can always open the shop stuff back up. No worries. And what I want to do now is I either can, again, put an armor slot on, like right here, and set it, or we can just kind of play around with it. To start, let's just play around with it and kind of see what it looks like. So I want to open my skeletal mesh, and really, well, actually, really just my skeleton. I don't really need the skeletal mesh. And we can kind of play around with this to put an animation on it. Use specific animation. We can do the idle. Okay, here's our idle animation. And this is what our character looks like. Now, we did not really choose a good character to be able to apply different armor to be fair. I recognize that because, you know, he's already got armor on, and that's the base character. So really how this would work is if you wanted to be able to change armor, you would have a character that doesn't already have armor on, or you would hand make the different models, right? But if we want to make it more dynamic like we're doing now, then we would want to make it so that's not armor on armor. It's going to typically just be bad. You're going to have stuff popping out. But it's what we're working with now, so maybe I'll get a different model for next episode. It doesn't really matter. You know, if we change the model, it will fix the issue that I'm referring to. So it's not like, oh, we've come into this huge impasse, but I'm just letting you know, things might poke through the armor, right? It's not an armor that was specifically fitted for this character, first of all. And this character really is not a good example. So, yeah, anyway, I might be getting a different model then, but for now, let's just show how it works. I'm back. Had to upload something to Insta since I'm trying to get back into it. Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming back. So we did finish up the shop stuff. I didn't do the level lock stuff because I did have a few questions about that, and I can ask them again here in a second. But I did add the level requirement to the shop item structure. So now the shop items, they have a level requirement for you to be able to, you know, they have it on the item. I haven't done anything with it. So we can either restrict them from buying it due to that, or we can actually make it not pop up at all until they're the current level, so, or the required level. All right, but right now we're going to attach some armor, and I was just thanking you for real for the excellent work you did with these. The way this typically works, if you're not having like a clothing expert, right, like a clothing physics expert, or someone who knows kind of more about the morphing and the weights between the armor and the character, then the way this typically works, this is we're going to go the general route, not like the action RPG route. That's a lot more specific. We're going to pick an area on the character that we think is a good starting point. So as far as like, let's go with the chest plate. Okay. For the chest plate, I'm going to assume somewhere on the spine is really just the best one. And right there is fine, okay? And we can actually just add a preview asset. We don't even need a socket, really. We can just add an asset. I think this is the one that I really have this set up, this socket, we can actually just use where this socket is at. This is the socket parameters. So sure, we're applying this asset to it. But if we apply this asset, the same asset to it, then it will actually connect here pretty smoothly. So there we go. We can do that, and we can do the, we can do the face, we can do the boots, we can do anything. For right now, for testing purposes, we just need to do this. I will add the others, but I'm going to switch the model anyway because I would really rather put it on a proper model. But okay, so it's fine. So basically, if we play now, nothing's on the character. Changing it in that view does not change, what it looks like in the scene. So it's still on here. You can always preview it. It's on the preview mesh. It's here. We're good to go. You can change the animation and see that it fits very well. This clipping, this is what I was referring to. You'll need if you're going to do more advanced things with it, and this isn't a perfect fit for the character, you are going to need to have someone who knows kind of what they're doing with that stuff. They can do weight painting. They can do cloth physics. And again, it doesn't matter if it's like an actual shirt or not. I think as far as I know, they're still called clothing physics. But we had someone in the fighting game that I was making for college, actually, they were an artist who worked on kind of weight painting, and they worked with our clothing. And you could see it actually didn't clip through the character because it had its own physics on it that we would add to it. So we would add to this object, and it would if the character's skin was right here, it would rest against it instead. So yeah, that's how you would do it even with armor like this. Again, it doesn't have to be like a shirt or something that flails. You can do it with anything. So you can see there's a little bit of it, but to the answer, I understand what you mean. I'll check the fighting game series. Yeah, I mean, hey, I appreciate it. I am happy that you want to use my series, but if No, because you need a component to attach to the act. Attach to, so that's the first one. Attach to, there we go. And then I should be able to grab the, here we go. All right. I think this is the way to do it. I do sometimes get confused with the attach because I have to think about which one needs to get attached to which. But we're trying to attach the chest plate to the mesh, which really we should just try to attach to the host. We just do the whole character. Actually, I guess it is the skeletal mesh, so we would want that, or we would want the skeleton. And we get that in here. Okay, this might be okay how it is. It might take me a second to get this because it has been a while. But then we want to attach it to the socket name, which I believe I called chest piece. No, chest plate, sorry, socket. That's not exactly how you spell that, now is it? And we can just do this. And there you go. Working like a charm. So it used the socket that we previewed, the way we previewed it, and it put it right in on the character, right where we wanted it to be. So now when we play the game, he's got the armor on. So now you can change the armor. You change the mesh, the armor's changed. Now, I don't actually know if the other armors are like the same size and all, so it might change this a little bit. Like it might not work in this case without intentionally making it work that way. But just to prove a point, those are boots, so that's not exactly what I need. Hold on. It's really hard for me to see in this, oh, that's cool, I like that. It's really hard for me to see in this little window because I literally cannot tell what those are. Well, anyway, I was trying to show you guys, but I literally cannot see, so it makes it basically impossible for me to figure this out. But anyway, you can see, so the way you would normally do, let me answer this real quick. No sweat, I'm mainly interested in learning C++ for Unreal, so we do more advanced things in UE5. I'd actually recommend if you have the time to do a C++ beginner series in Unreal. Might help you. Thank you. I've actually gotten that request quite a bit recently. It wasn't really coming up at all, and I've got a few people asking, so I'm very heavily considering that. As far as it goes for you, like, you probably will want to know before I can get that out there. So I appreciate the advice. I will try to get that out because I think it is something that people would be interested in learning. For example, one that would teach the simple basics would contain examples. That's true. That's really, I think, what would be best is if I had some examples. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. I'll get thinking on that. I think that could be a really fun thing to do. So thank you for letting me know. I will genuinely start working on that. I've been thinking about it for a while, but now that you're saying this too, I think it's just the right move. Thank you. So, yes, I was trying to show you, like, normally the way this works is we have this socket and we have this armor. Great, right? What difference does it make? If you attach another one, will it be in the same spot? So no, if you attach another one, it won't be in the same spot, right? It could be a little bit different. Like, for example, if I could find the other arm, I know it's here. I know I'm not crazy. That looks awesome. We need to get that on for real. That also looks awesome. So yeah, unless they're intentionally there, which in this case they are, they're split up so that they would be intentionally in the right spots, then they won't be. Then they will be in the right spot if they're intentionally there. If they're not, they will be all over the place. You'll need a different socket, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's to be expected. I mean, check it out. So we are putting on the helmet. Look, the helmet's up higher. If we put on like the feet, or sorry, that's not the feet. Let me grab the feet. The feet are intentionally lower, right? So you can have these different. That's not even. I don't think those are the feet. I'm sorry, I just literally cannot see because Unreal refuses to give me the preview option. There we go. Usually, though, I have it. Usually, it will pop out. It's not popping out. Anyway, so here we can see. So here's the boots. You can see the boots are lower because they're trying to go off of the chest plate. So that's why you would need them separate. Like, we won't want chest plate mesh. And the chest plate mesh is for the chest plate. The other ones need to be attached to the different components. So let's put our armor back on. I think it's this one. And let's go ahead and you already saw it working. Let's go ahead and get the helmet on too while we're at it. It's actually very quick now that we've already explained it. So we need to figure out where we want the head to be. The head is probably a good spot. I'm going to switch him off attack and put him back in idle so that he's not moving around so much. We're gonna make a socket. We're gonna call it, I mean, head socket's actually pretty good. I will call it helmet socket, just to keep with the theme. The project makes me think of Bloodstained. Oh, Bloodstained is so good. Yeah, so I have a long way to go, like, to find the art style and stuff. I'm just kind of teaching the mechanics, but man, Bloodstained is good. Bloodstained, Castlevania, I really, really love those games. So I'm hoping that you are starting to get some of those vibes from it. I would like to do some genuine work and like treat it like an actual game and maybe eventually convert it into one. But yeah, I love it. I'm so glad you said that. Alright, so we have this helmet socket, so we can do what we do best. And we can just go ahead and add a preview socket, or excuse me, a preview asset. And this time I'm going to put on this helmet, which is of course going to be like totally in the wrong spot because Unreal is like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And it gets confused very easily. So we have to go over to it, go over to the details on the socket, and we have to change it. Now, I don't exactly know because it depends on what Everglades did. But it might be basically the same offset. I'm not sure. I just haven't tried. So, we will find out. It just depends on how it was set up. Give me 1 second. So, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to look at this asset. Let's see. 199.5 and 2. So let's try it. 199.5. 2. Okay, so not quite, but very, very close. Just because the character models were probably different sizes. So I can just move it down a little more. There you go, something like that. It's looking pretty darn good. It's like. So again, ignore the clipping. That's not like anything wrong with the models that were made or anything wrong with that. Probably I make all my characters and assets so big. No, that's okay. Being fully genuine, that is not on you at all. I did not give you any reference and you created these awesome assets. Thank you so much. Don't, please. And I'm not, if I came off saying, like if it came off that way, I did not mean that. I'm just saying your character was probably bigger, so that's why it didn't match up. That's standard. That's usually you have to go in and do this anyway. Now again, another thing that's not on you at all, the clipping. The clipping is from, look, he's got a stupid helmet. Like, why would I be putting a helmet on a helmet, right? It's a bad character model for the example. I didn't consider that originally, but that's why I'll probably change the model. But regardless, it doesn't make a difference. You can see that this is working, right? I actually want to move it down on his head a little bit more though, or maybe scale it down a bit more. It's maybe a bit too thin. Oh, that's maybe a bit. I love how much of a jump that does. Like the other ones are like, it's a little jump. This one's like, no, this is a big jump. Wow, that is a big jump. Wow. Okay, so I think if I make this, I forget exactly which one is it. Is it this? Oh, it's a little bit too much. 1.5 I think was good. I think if we just position this a little bit. What if I put this at 0? Yeah, it doesn't really need. There we go. That's like excellent. That is excellent looking. Okay. There we go. So that's pretty darn good. I really like that actually. Now understand, this is how nice this looks. This is how nice this looks after Everglades gave me some assets not related to the model, okay? These are not at all interacting with the model. They did this on their own and were kind enough to send them to me. Look how nice it looks. Like, you can get really nice results, especially if you had someone, unlike myself, who is a lot better with the physics, who could actually make, like, spots where the clothes or the models, like the static meshes, aren't supposed to interact with. Will actually bend them or kind of force them a certain way. you know, you can make it look so nice just by doing this. So at this point, I mean, we're good. Oh, I never attached that. We can do it in the construction script as well, if you want. Basically, we just need another static mesh. We'll call it helmet. Doesn't need to be a child of that. No, come on. Static mesh. Helmet mesh. I'm going to order them. No. Dang it. I don't want it to be a child. Is there a way to order it in here? Maybe not. Okay, either way. I will just go rage now. I think there is a way to change it. I just can't remember what. But it doesn't really matter. So now we can go into the construction script again if we wanted to. And just attach it here. I think we could actually do something to attach in the parent socket if we made it a child of the mesh. Like, I think we made the helmet a child of the mesh. And make it a helmet socket. And this is not the right helmet socket. The helmet socket will need this one. Oh, it won't work because of the scaling differences. So yeah, you could also do this if you don't want to have separate. Oh crap! I did the chest plate mesh. I did. There we go. You could also do this if you don't want to attach it. You'll still need to attach it, because if you don't attach it to the socket, then it is going to be a child of the socket, but it's not going to follow all the same rules that just attaching it where it was when you keep it as relative. So it'll be a little bit different. But if you didn't want to add all these individual ones outside of the mesh, you could use the parent socket here to attach and then adjust the settings in here. I'm used to the socket, and so I usually will do that. There we go, I got my chest piece back. Did I, though? Oh, I took it off the... No, I did that. There we go. Alright, it's back. So, anyway, just showing you that is an option. Something I learned recently, how it works. And if we really wanted to, I mean, we could just do all this right now, just to show you. Grab the helmet mesh, and the rest of the stuff can be copied. Paste it right here. This is the target. This is where it's going. And up like that. Then we save this. And instead of chest plate socket, we make it helmet socket. And Click not doing anything would work? Okay, so we'll do that real quick. We have 9 minutes, but that should actually be plenty of time. So let's go into, if I could just figure out where the heck I was supposed to go, logic. Shop item structure. So this is our shop item. Remember, this is basically all the information we have on our widget for our shop items, on the buttons. So each structure has this image that we could apply to it, which we haven't done that yet. It has a value for how much we have to pay for it, the quantity for how many we have in the store. I've added the level requirement, which is an integer, and it's basically what level you need to be. And then there's a description and a text that we could print out. I do have the name printing out, but don't do anything with the description yet. So that's what we did. That's the only difference we made, and the only thing we did towards the level right now. If we go back into our shop and our widgets, there's some things we can do. So we need to set the level requirement on the individual items. There's really no way around that because that's what we want. So for level, as far as level requirement goes, we will leave level requirement at 1 for the first item, but we will leave it at 2 for the second item. And that way we basically won't be able to buy the second item until we are level 2. So now we've changed the item, and now we need to go into the shop. It should be an object, space shop BP, and go into purchase item. And when we're going to purchase the item, purchase item does both the checks to see if we can actually buy the item and the purchase. So if we're not high enough level, we can just actually ignore everything right off the bat. So we have a character reference already in our shop BP. We can drag the character reference off. We can get the current level, or get level. There we go. And we can actually just compare and see if this is greater than or equal to the level requirement that we have. So I want to do this real quick. Hold up. Okay, so see how this is working? So we're going to grab, there you go. So we have the character reference, we have their level, and we're seeing if it's greater than or equal to the level requirement. And if it is, actually, if it's not greater than or equal, no, sorry. If it is greater than or equal, we continue. And then check if they have enough money too. But if they, and if there's any in the shop, like if there's the quantity to do that. But if they are not, so that would be if they're less than the level requirement, then it's going to fail out here. Now here you could do other things. It wouldn't have to just fail. So for example, we might have to set the level requirement, so this might not work off the bat. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second if it doesn't work. But I think it will work, because we set it on the individual items. So I'm level 1. So I should be able to buy this item, and I can. The quantity goes down. I actually don't have enough, because I spent all that money on the first item. Let's try that again. So you see I can still buy my first item, and it's a level requirement of 1. Now this is a level requirement of 2. I'm not level 2, and I can't buy it. And so I can actually say, you know, you can do whatever you want here. You could have the guy yell at you with a voice line. You're not a high enough level. You're not skilled enough to use that yet, or something. Or you could say, you know, you could, literally anything. Like, you could do whatever. I'm going to print a string just to triple check that the reason we can't get that item is because we're not a high enough level. So I have 5 coins. I click on this, and it says not high enough level. And you can see nothing is happening. You know, we could gray it out. Like, you could loop through. So if you want to do it beforehand, and I probably won't actually do this stream, but just to kind of show you, if you want to do it beforehand. So right now, it looks like you could get it, right? So maybe you put level 15, whatever, on the image, on the item, but they could still click it, and it just doesn't do anything. Well, that's fine, but maybe you want to gray it out preemptively, like saying, oh, you can't get that. So they can look at it, but they can't actually select it. If you want to do that, what you would do is in your base shop BP, before we purchase item, just when you enter the shop, okay, when we enter the shop, we end up creating the widget. We actually create it here. We call it enter shop, and then we create the shop interface widget and fill out the data. Well, once we fill out the data, you have all the items have all the data. All the buttons are already spawned. So once this is done, once this loop is completed right here where we're adding the widget to the viewport, then what you could do is, or even you could actually do this before, but you'd have to do it once this loop is completed. So once all the buttons are made, all the items have been parsed, and we know what items are in the shop, you could go through here. You could loop through each item. You could have a boolean that's like is active or is able to be purchased. And if any of the things don't match, you can gray them out, or you could remove them from the shop. You could do like, you could do. I'm trying to think of a good example, but you basically just make it so that they're not visible, they're not active, right? Like either you don't have enough money, not high enough level, there's no more in the shop right now. So this is where you would do it, really. This right here, if you want to do it preemptively. If you just want to stop them when they go to buy it, then you can do it right here in the... Sorry, I was in the wrong function. Here we go. You can do it right here when you go to purchase the item. And actually, one final thing on that is you should probably do it in both. So you can do safeguards in your code, and it's not a bad practice, okay? You don't want to do too many where you're screwing yourself over and you end up breaking something that you want to use. But for example, so say you did gray it out, but the user still tried to buy it for whatever reason. Well, if somehow they managed to get to the purchase item, it's okay to still have this check in here. Then it would check again and say, no, they can't purchase it. Their level isn't right. So as long as the logic is not broken in both spots because of something fundamentally wrong, it might catch it and you won't be able to buy it. You know what I mean? So you can do it multiple places. So it's good to do both, or at least one or the other. And if you need the other, you can implement it. So that's my take on how to do level requirement stuff. We can get into more. Like, I want to do even another one on shops, because shops are actually so fun. I mean, this is a functional shop at this point. I'm satisfied with this. But really, I mean, you could do so much more with it. You can have images. We can tie images to the items and have them displayed. We can have the descriptions. We can have them compared to the stats that we have on now. There's so many things you can do. So I almost want to do another one. But we probably will step away from shops in this next episode, just so that we can kind of cool out a bit on this. But this is a really fun topic for me. I love this one. So we'll come back to this. We are going to clean up all these widgets eventually. I know a lot of my tutorials use these ugly widgets like this that use the basic buttons. I need to make assets or have assets made for them. It's perfectly fine. You can see I started making my own for the fighting game series, and they do look a lot nicer where I use them. I mean, they're by no means like great assets, but greater than the basic button. It just gives a little bit of life. So we will make them look nicer, but for now, don't worry about it too much. Just as long as the functionality is there, we can easily update it in the future. Alright, guys. So I think that's enough for one episode, but I'm very satisfied with this. We got the excellent armor pieces that Everlade's provided in. We got the shop functional. We can even exit the shop and take control of our character. Yeah, I feel really, really good about that. So hopefully you guys do too. And honestly, my phone is about to die. It's on 4% because I was out before this and I didn't get to charge it. So this is pretty good timing. I think we're good to go. Use some Kenny assets for quick prototyping there. Free, so why not? Until you get your... No, I appreciate that. That is good. Could you... I'm going to wrap up the stream. Are you able to send those to me? Like, at least a link? I actually don't know what the Kenny assets are. Are they free assets online, I'm assuming? I actually never heard of them. So, could be very useful. But thank you. That is a great tip, and I will gladly use some stuff. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. For those of you that aren't familiar, we will be back. We're here every Friday, live streaming, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, all your basic stuff. I won't bore you, but subscribe if you haven't already, please. It does help the channel, and we'll be back next Friday for more of this. So if you have any ideas or anything you want me to do specifically, let me know, and maybe I'll push it forward or work on that next week. I don't really have a specific goal with this tutorial series. I kind of am just winging it, but it's fun, having a good time learning things. So they're using all the jams. Okay, really? I did not know that. Nice. I might recognize it once I see him. Maybe I just didn't know that. But that is awesome. Thank you. I will definitely do that. Alright, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.